Can you see this? Look what you've done, it bleeds, he says. So, this cat is my ex. I was petting his bullshit, I was being a good girlfriend, and when I was petting him one day, he decided to attack me and I bled and I had blood in my hands like this guy. What happened with me? I read his fucking disgusting, nasty as fuck as his personality text. I bled, my nose bled, my blood fell on the picture he had on his profile in my text, like his profile picture in the text, like there in that specific corner. My blood fell on my screen and I was trying for 15 minutes to stop the bleeding, and then I realized that the fucker had broken up with me and I didn't know why. I didn't know what the fuck I have done. I still don't. I still have no idea what I have done wrong with him, and I don't give a fuck, to be honest. If a person wants to hide, that's their problem, it's not mine, okay? I've been very crystal clear, I have no idea what I did wrong. I was perfectly like I was petting him and he just attacked me because he's a lunatic. He has bipolar, he's a very disgusting person. I know from my dad that many people before me didn't like his behavior and called him out. I know that he worked in a university called Minju and people there thought that he's disgusting, like colleagues, like students. That's what my father has said, that many people have said that he's acting like an idiot. I've seen him in visions, fuck off. I've seen him in visions telling me, smoking a cigarette, I was a bad guy at Minju, and I asked him, what did you do that was so bad and you called yourself a bad guy? And he refused to tell me, he just asked me to love him regardless. No, I'm not loving you regardless. I did that for 8 months. If you want me to continue, destroy the university. I'm not gonna sit here and hear your bullshit and think for a moment that you deserve my love. No, you don't. You don't deserve anything. Go fuck yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, I'm not gonna speak about my ex today. So this is Funky Monkey. That's my water. I have my Coca-Cola as well with my Mario cup, obviously. And I have my coffee. Yeah, I have my supplies here. And where the fuck is my earring? I think I've lost my earring. Okay, it's here. Actually, it's not my earring. Actually, it's my mouth piercing. I don't have a hole in my mouth for a piercing. It's a fake one. I have some milk chocolate. And today I was gonna do... I'm gonna do a lot of stuff actually. I was thinking of hearing like the audiobook of Saramago's Blindness, but then I thought that it is 7 hours long and how can I do that? I've had the opportunity to have the PDF of the manuscript in my library these days because somebody uploaded it, but I haven't read it. I read some particles and I saw portions if you wanna, but I noticed that the book is fucked up. I hadn't read it. I had done a commentary on my university with my idiot teacher Andrew Haas, who asked us to do a commentary on this book. I couldn't buy the book, that's why I didn't read it. I couldn't buy because it was hella expensive, it wasn't for my pocket, and I couldn't buy a book that I knew from starters that I wouldn't like it. I will explain how I knew I wouldn't like it. Hi bestie, this is Helga. I'm a prophet, I am an ex-mystic, and this is why I explain I knew that I wouldn't like this book. I read the summary, and from the summary I realized that the crap I was gonna read for my essay / commentary was gonna be pretty mystical. And as an ex-mystic I said, no, stay away from me. When you are an ex-alcoholic, you're not drinking alcohol. When you are an ex-drug addict, you are not doing drugs again because you're gonna fall back in your old habits, right? Exactly the same. I didn't wanna get involved with that. Not because I'm gonna fall back in my old habits. That's not how it works with mysticism and spirituality. But I didn't wanna involve myself more in the occult. I was trying to heal myself from the occult, not go back into it and dive like it is a pool with water, like and slides, water slides and ice cream and I don't know, like beautiful plants and sunshine and bikinis and beach volley and whatever. I just read the summary and I said no thank you. Even if I had to steal money from a bank, I wouldn't do it because I don't want to get involved in the occult any longer. I did that bullshit for quite some time. I was a full-time philosopher when I was a teenager. No, bestie, thank you very much. I'm not gonna do that again. Thank you. I don't care who the fuck you are, you want me to be with this bullshit of the occult. I'm not gonna do it again. That's what I said to myself. So I actually asked from a friend that I had in Greece who could put her hands on the fucking document to tell me what scenes it has so I can dissect some things and explain. And she gave me some details and she said, Helga, you can work with this scene here and that scene there and there, you know. So I heard her and she helped me write the essay in terms of I wrote something, she corrected some bits like, no, it's not that how the scene works, this is how it actually works, you didn't really get what I said. Then I took it back and reverted it back into my writing style and I said, is this okay? Is this like compatible with what the book says? And you know, for example, she had told me that there was a scene in the book that was about, by the way, she took the book from her university library in Greece, that's what happened. And she told me about a particular scene in the fucking book that it said that, like, the people of the book wanted to pray to God. They prayed to God. I don't remember. It's been 4 years since then. She said that the people prayed probably to God. Let's put it that way because I don't really remember. And the saints and God, yeah, the biblical God and the saints didn't answer the prayers. They were silent. There was a silence. And she said that she found a commentary from a scholar in the university she was at, which means like a Greek scholar. This is what she found. She found that they said, this guy or woman, whatever they were, they commented that this meant the silence from the revelation to John, where God stays silent for half an hour, something like that. And she said, can you use that somehow? Do you know what this means? And I said, I can work with that, but I don't want to because the scholar, unbeknownst to him or her, that's what I got when she said that, doesn't know that what she says or he says is like they are mixing pretty much New Testament theology, Judaism and so on with paganism. And I'm not gonna do that because it's gonna open a very big discussion that I don't wanna open because I didn't say that, but I'm explaining this here on my channel at this moment. The reason I didn't wanna do the discussion is because my teacher Andrew Haas was doing mystical bullshit, and if I open this discussion, probably it would lead to more occult discussion, and I wanted to prevent that. I didn't want to open such a discussion because I didn't want to get involved more with the occult. Because if I was going to say, look, Saramago says something here that resembles Jesus, but it's actually the other Jesus, and the other Jesus is actually Zeus, and Zeus actually pretends to be Yahweh, and he does that because Jesus killed him on the cross, and all that bullshit. My teacher was gonna open a discussion about all this crap, and I didn't wanna do the discussion. That's all I'm gonna say. And I just wrote that the book is crap. I insist that the book is crap. I saw a YouTuber saying that she gave it 4 out of 5, and the reason she took out a star, she said, is because the formatting was horrible. She didn't have like a punctuation and shit. And I was like, girlie, are you crazy? Like, your only problem was the punctuation. Like, that was your problem. Like, the story was okay in your ears. Like, some people seriously like to hear stories from the devil. Some people seriously like to hear stories from the devil. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. I'm not hating her. I'm not gonna show her fucking face. But bestie, if you ever see this, what is wrong with you? Do you like the stories of the devil? Because that's what you said to me. Like, your only problem was the punctuation. I don't get it. I simply don't get it. Because you usually, you guys, all of you guys say, why did Yahweh do this? Why did Yahweh do that? Why is Yahweh so horrible in this chapter? Why did he speak so harshly there? Why is he saying, like, I'm sending a lying spirit to this guy there? Why did he abandon Saul? How did he treat Judas? Go fuck yourselves, all of you. You read bullshit from the devil, like the Blindness of Saramago, like the allegory of the cave. That's where the story is inspired from, by the way. I'm gonna dissect everything here, okay? Like, you are hearing stories from the devil. The allegory of the cave is actually the mother story of the blindness. I'm gonna explain everything, bestie. You hear the stories and you're okay with that. I'm okay. Zeus said I am blind and I have to find my light. I'm okay with that. If Yahweh says you have to find your light, Yahweh is a very bad person. Go fuck yourselves, all of you. That's why I'm not doing apologetics. I'm not gonna do apologetics to the children of the devil. They're never gonna hear anything. Jesus said to the Pharisees, you are from the devil. Your father is the devil. You hear lies from each other. You lie to each other. You wanna spread lies to each other. And your father is the father of lies. That's why I'm not gonna explain why my father does this and that. You don't wanna listen, bestie. You don't wanna listen. If you wanted, you would. That's why I'm not doing that. Because when the devil says idiot stories like Iliad, where everybody dies and everybody is plagued by a plague. That's how the Greek gods acted. It's actually very funny. Yeah, definitely. If Apollo sends a plague in the Greeks, to the Greeks, that's okay. But if Yahweh sends a plague to the Egyptians, he's a bad person. Wow, the double standards. The double the double standards, actually. Disgusting, absolutely disgusting. That's why I'm not doing apologetics. My father is not a criminal. I'm not gonna put him in the dog and say he is a criminal. I explain why he did this and he did that. He did it because he could, because he's God. And if you can't deal with that, go fuck yourself. I don't care. I don't give a bullshit about that. Okay, I don't care anymore. I used to care. I used to explain my crap. Because I honestly thought that people just don't know my father, but then I woke up and I realized that everybody likes to worship the devil and they portray my father as the devil because they are the children of the devil. And that's why I have quitted explaining my bullshit to anybody and I say, do you wanna hear? Hear yourself, you have ears. You have ears, use them. If you can't use them, I'm not gonna put you that fucking device that elderly people put inside because that's not your problem, bestie. Your problem is your heart. Put that device that helps elderly people hear in your heart. That is your problem. It's not in your ears. Your ears are working perfectly fine because when you pick white noise from Zeus, you are delighted to hear it. That's what I'm saying, bestie. Go fuck yourself, all of you that say that my father is a bad person. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't care. Say whatever the fuck you wanna say. I took a small break because I made many mistakes when I was speaking. To edit it, I took it out of the camera and I edited. I added some chocolate as well. So today, where the fuck am I going? I'm gonna. Okay. What the fuck? Didn't you see also a code? Okay, yep. The answer, my friends, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Okay. Suppose I will take this as my screenshot because the wind as a theme fits my dad. Poor rabbit. So today I was gonna do multiple shit. I was gonna do the blindness critique. I don't know if I will do any other biblical scholar. I suppose my ex doesn't know his job, so I have to teach him what they say about my God. Anyways, oh, okay, we have another treasure here. So giant skeleton, you found a new artwork. Check it out at the museum. Okay, and we have another one here. Okay, that's a Song of Ice and Desert. Okay, that's for the Game of Thrones fans. You found a new soundtrack. Check it out at the museum. But let's cute. I have to see if I am updated. Okay. Okay, I need an update here. Okay. Okay, and I will buy it for him as well. Okay, secondary. I have this one, 4050. Let's see primary for a moment. What do I have? Okay, I have this. Okay, I have the strongest, so I need to buy a stronger secondary. Okay. Base damage dealt by the weapon. Yeah, I know that. Let's go to the skill tree. Okay, you can actually update this. So I have bought this. Damage, activate. So that's Stomp Rage. Increase damage. How heroes overcome by super effect are restored when Mario performs a teen jump. Okay, let's buy this. Let's buy this as well. This as well is needed. I'm trying to see here. This and that. And let's give the remaining anywhere. Here. Okay. Go to the other one we have here. Activate this. These two. these two. This as well is needed. And this. Okay, let's go to the last guy. So dash, definitely. Damage, definitely. Activate. Activate that as well. Activate that. Yep. Okay, so I gave all I could with the diamonds I have. So I want to say, before everything else, I want to say something for the death of Charlie Kirk. I spoke about that on my channel. I spoke about who is responsible for somebody's death. Like, even if they incite hate, you shouldn't touch them. And I don't get why we don't understand such basic stuff here. Anyways, all I'm gonna say is that I saw a video of the video that circulates on the internet of his widow that hugged his corpse, and she spoke about it and said, fuck, sorry about that. She spoke about his passing. She recorded when she was with his corpse, and she said, God bless you, I love you, and stuff. You know, I'm trying not to curse because this is serious stuff. That's not to bullshit with, because there is a dead person that people mourn of, and you know, I'm trying to be respectful here. Rabbit Kong's theme, you found a new gold soundtrack, check it out at the museum. Okay. So yeah, what I'm saying here is that I found many comments saying that what she did was weird, that she performs, that she shouldn't have taken the cameras to film the last moments. Guys, you don't know how a person reacts when they lose a dead guy. Like, you say it should be private, it should be this and that. You shouldn't say that. It's not okay to say that she performs. You are not in her shoes. She has lost her husband. She has to deal with her babies. Her babies are 3 years old and 1 year old, each of them. She is a widow. She's very young. She's 35 years old, Erika Kirk. And you are saying she didn't deal with it properly. If I told you to go in her shoes and deal with it properly, that's like a curse, because I would be telling you to lose a beloved person of yours, and see how to do with it. And that's not okay. I can't say that. But guys, you can't say to a person that is mourning how they will mourn. You don't know if she lost him and she just wants to make videos and speak about it and even do propaganda, even say I will do everything I can to put his legacy in higher rank, and if she wants to portray him as a saint, because this is how she deals with her grief, because she lost a husband and she has to find a reason for what happened. And if her reason is to say they killed him because he was a holy man, and her way to deal with it is to do propaganda, even if I don't agree with what you say, but even if what you say is correct, maybe that's just her way to deal with grief. That's not your right, though. That doesn't give you any right to accuse her of anything and say that she's odd and she's crazy and she's weird and she shouldn't be doing that and this and that. That's completely so wrong of you to do, and shame on you all for writing such comments on her and saying that that was a wax figure. He has yellow hands because he's a dead person in the video. That is discussed by a mortician here on YouTube, but you can also read that in books as well. When you die, this can happen, and also you can uh, um, like achieve such reaction in the skin by embalming a dead body, a corpse, so that they can travel from state to state or country to a country. Let's say somebody died in Europe and they are an American, they have to travel. You embalm this corpse so that they can travel and don't get decomposed, so that the people that they will see it will get to see them like they used to be alive, and say a final goodbye to them. That's how it works. And if you don't know that crap, don't speak because you seem ridiculous. And if her way to say bye is to have a footage of her dead husband in his coffin, in his hearse, in his tomb, that's none of your goddamn fucking business. It's her business, it's her life. She lived a life with this guy. She has children with this guy. There is a high possibility she just wanted to treasure the last moment she had with him, even like that. And it's disgusting to see such comments. And let me tell you here, I don't have any pictures of my ex. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. I don't know when he was born. And if you are like, what the fuck did your ex and you do? I knew that he's crapping me. I knew that he's not a good boyfriend. I just was putting up with him, pretty much. And I wasn't telling him like I never called him by name because I didn't know how to pronounce his name, and because he is pretty much a nationalist, and I don't care if he disagrees with that. If you read his articles, he seems like a right wing. To be fair, the only thing that he doesn't seem like not right wing, sorry, far right wing person. My ex. The only thing that differentiates him from far right wings, because I am a right wing person, to be fair, not in anything, but majority. I'm pretty much mixed, but my ideology is pretty much right wing, I would say, like a free economy, freedom of speech, and so on. Anyways, conservative ideas about God and shit. But my ex has the far right winged ideology, and when you read him and he starts talking about Mao and this and that, you say, oh, okay, he's a leftist. But at the end of the day, I don't want to sound sarcastic, but I'm not quite sure what is the fine line between communism and far right policies, because for me it's completely the same. But anyways, I'm not gonna do political jokes here and like comment and say my opinion. Do whatever you wanna do, I don't care. But I'm just saying, because he was like, for me he was a far right person. That's how I was seeing him. I said if I pronounce his name, because I am a Greek, and if I pronounce his Chinese name wrongly, he will laugh, and I didn't want to deal with it. So I didn't call his name, and I didn't ask him how do you pronounce his name, because I didn't want to hear him gloating like a patriot about his country, because I'm not doing that crap to anybody, and I don't want anybody to do that crap to me. And he was anyways talking very much about his country, and he wasn't respecting mine. So that's why I didn't ask him. Anyways, I don't have any pictures of him. I don't have any video footage of him. I have a footage of his voice, because I was mocking in an Instagram story the crap he was teaching, and I had uploaded an Instagram where he speaks and he says that Buddha is the same God with Yahweh. And I wrote a caption in my Instagram back then when I was 19, and I said, this man here says that Buddha and Yahweh is the same person. Who gave him his degrees? I have this question since I knew my ex, to be fair. That's my forever eternal question, who gave him his PhD. But that's the only place I have his voice, and even if I despise him, to be fair, like if you ask me how do you feel about him, I despise him, to be fair, at this point. Sometimes I feel like even now I am like, I wish I had a proper selfie, I wish I had a proper video. I have nothing from him. He never gave me anything, he never gave me attention, he never made me beautiful, feel happy. He never cared about me. But even if he was a total craphead and crap hole, I wish I had some final moments with him. I don't. That's why I say don't judge a person by what they are doing with the corpse, because what Erika Kirk had the chance to do with the corpse of her husband, I didn't have the chance to do with the spiritual corpse of my own ex, because he left me without leaving any trace. He didn't tell me what his name was, how it is pronounced, what it means. I asked him once because I was jealous if like the woman across his door at the university that had the same surname with him was related to him, because I was jealous that she was his wife, because in my culture, I'm a Greek, you get the husband's name when you marry them. So I thought that she was his wife and they work together because she was across his own door. I didn't know that in China you keep your father's name. And he said jokingly, that's a family name. My name means tall. It's very popular in China. And if I didn't ask him, that's what I say, if I didn't ask him this question and I asked him for other purposes, I didn't ask him for educational purposes, of course he didn't understand that, of course he found another reason to speak about his country because he's a far right winged person anyways. But if I didn't ask this question, he wouldn't tell me what his name is all about. He answered me because I asked him. That's what I say. So the only thing I know is about his surname, Gao. I don't know anything else about him. All the stuff that I know about my ex come from my father, who is just fucking spirit. And if you are fucking confused and you're like, so you don't know much about your ex from your own ex who is a person, but you know from God himself about your ex who is a spirit, and technically speaking we don't really hear about people speaking directly with God. Yes, welcome to my life. This is how my life rolls usually. I speak more with deities than I speak with my own ex or with people, and that's not my choice. That's how people are around me. People are weird, aren't they? They are a very amazing kind of like creation. And no offense to my dad, but I really don't know what he was thinking when he made us. Honestly, I have spoken more with spirits than I have spoken with people, and I have definitely learned more from God about my ex than my ex ever cared to tell me about himself. So, kind reminder about Erika Kirk. Don't bash her. Don't see her as weird. I would like to have a final note from my ex. I know he won't do that because he's a nasty person. He's almost 50. He's not gonna change at that age. In that age, you become even worse than what you were in your 30s. You're not gonna change and become a better person just because somebody told you you are nasty. That's how I see it. That's how it happens. Tabula rasa is until 5 years old. After you pass the threshold of the 5 years old, you remain with the same nasty personality until the day you die in an old age. And that's it. Anyways, though. Jago, why are you putting the video? Because I'm just upset and I'm just thinking that I wanted to say something more, but I'm just trying to put my thoughts back into order. Um, like, Erika Kirk had a final goodbye with the corpse of her husband. I never found the corpse of my ex. He just went for cigarettes, as we say in Greece, and didn't return. And when you have death without a corpse, and that's like a spiritual thing, I don't know how it is called, we say death without a corpse. If you have that, there is no worse thing for you to happen than that. You don't get any answers inside of you. You are not dealing with a loss, essentially. You are dealing with like um unanswered questions. You blame yourself, you blame stuff you haven't done, you blame stuff you have done, you blame the other person, you have unresolved issues inside of you, and you are haunted by the past. It's a very disgusting mind game, and that's why my dad is very angry with my ex, because my father is a spirit and he knows how mind games work, because this is his battlefield. He is a spirit. If you do mind games, that's a spiritual matter. Obviously he's gonna get angered by that, because you are dealing, like, I don't know how to describe it, like, if somebody attacks you physically, won't you say that they behave like an animal, for example? I don't know how to put it. That's exactly what I say. If you do a mind game to somebody, you are acting like a spirit. So be prepared God to judge you accordingly. Like, you are in his battlefield, you are in his arena. You are a Ferrari in Italy, pretty much. You get what I mean? So yeah, what I'm saying is that um yeah, I didn't have this chance like she had, and it's very bad. And can I attack this first? Yeah, I can. Um, don't put her in the pedestal and say that she's weird, because you don't know how she feels. Pretty much, that's what I'm saying. Um, and I would like to have a final goodbye with my ex, and she had that chance. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, let's continue. So, let's take this down. I took a break. My coffee again. I have my water. I have. Should I fix this a little bit? I'm just trying to have it inside the frame, and I don't know. I don't know if I always have it inside the frame. Um, so I have here my video for today. I was thinking, I don't know how much it will drag. I was thinking of filming another. I have filmed for 40 minutes. I'm thinking of filming another 2 hours or something. I'm not quite sure. Um, I will. I will try and see, because I might get tired. Sometimes I get really tired, and I know that my video won't get very well if I am tired. And okay, if I am very tired and I need rest, and you can't really, like, fuck. Okay, you need rest, and you pretty much waste your energy doing a video that nobody will like at the end of the day. So I will probably do the blindness if I have time left. I don't know where the discussion will lead, but if I have time left, I can go back to the stupid scholar from yesterday. I wasn't really keen into doing that. Let's see how where this discussion will lead us. Let's see. Okay, so I will put the video. The video is a bot. It's an AI, I suppose. It's a robotic voice, but the channel is dedicated into exploring literature and what the story says in a summary. Yeah, 5 minute book summary. This is how the channel is called. It has 5K subscribers. So I was like, if instead of doing like the full video with the audiobook, which is fucking 7 hours, better do the summary. Even the summary can give you an example what we are about to talk about. If I see something that I would like to discuss in contrast with the allegory of the cave, maybe I can do something about that, like maybe put the allegory of the cave after we hear this video. I will see, because my videos are always not scripted, they are live. Whatever comes into my head, I just react into it. They are pretty much real time reaction videos. They are not reaction videos with scripted like content or whatever. It's completely reaction. I don't know what I'm gonna watch. That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna edit anything in my reaction. My reaction is completely at that moment that I'm filming the video, my mood, everything that has to do with it. So right now I'm gonna put the video and I'm gonna continue playing the game, and I will see where it goes, if I will need to stop it for a moment or if I need to leave it playing and then I will discuss it. I have no idea how it's gonna go. I'm just explaining beforehand. So oops, I had my head jack on my fucking headphones, earphones basically. I say earphones, these are earphones. I'll put them right here on the side. Just double check. And it's actually very funny. I can show you. How my earphones are like at the moment, how they look like. Can you see? I'm putting my flashlight so you can see. They have taken a pink tint. They are white. They are white earphones, but they have a pinkish kind of tint because I am dyeing my hair pink. My hair dye is semi-permanent. What is semi-permanent? Semi-permanent means that it doesn't penetrate the hair cuticle. This means that it goes just on the outside of the hair, biologically speaking. It doesn't go inside, it doesn't penetrate the cuticle, it stays on the outer layer. That means that it washes with washing it with shampoo. It just goes away and you go to your original hair color before dyeing it. That's semi-permanent. It just colors the outside. I prefer this coloring, not only because pink is a very artificial color. It's not a natural hair color like brown, black, blonde, etc. It's not a natural color, so it is impossible to do it permanent. So that doesn't mean that it's my choice to take a semi-permanent pink hair color. It's just semi-permanent because it is an artificial hair color. It's not a natural color. So when I put it in my head, it washes in about, I don't know, 8 to 10 washes. It goes back to blonde. I have bleached my hair blonde so you can actually take up the pink. Your hair reacts like a canvas pretty much. So if you have blonde, if you put pink on it, it's gonna react and it's gonna go pink. If you have dark brown like my natural color, if you put pink on it, it's not gonna do anything. You're just gonna stay with brown color, the natural you have. It's not gonna show. So you have to bleach it. That's why I have bleached my hair, to be able to dye it whatever the fuck I want, and usually I want blonde or pink like Barbie, both of them. But I use permanent blonde hair color because it transforms the hair cuticle. It doesn't wash with the washing. Yes, it will fade. It will need redying at some point. It will look like faded. It will not look vibrant enough, lively enough. Yes, but it won't go away. It will stay like that. It won't go, for example, like uh, pink, go away and go back to blonde. It's not gonna do that. It's gonna stay like that. It's gonna stay the same color. But because I like to experiment, I have purchased brown and black hair dye, not permanent but semi-permanent. You have the choice to buy semi-permanent for these colors, even though they are natural, and you can find them permanently hair, like in hair dyes, like permanent box or professional black dye or brown dye for your hair. I chose to have semi-permanent because I like to experiment. If I want to go brown again and black, I haven't done black. Black is not my natural color, by the way. My natural hair color is dark brown. But if I want to experiment with this, I would like to have the choice to go back into like the blonde, which is like a canvas. So black goes away because it's a semi-permanent. canvas blonde, and then you put, I don't know, purple, you put pink, whatever they wash, and so on. You go back in the beginning. So I like to experiment. I'm an artist. I like really much experimenting, doing highlights. I find it like very artistic, like experimenting with your hair. That's what I like. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. And what I was gonna say is that like I am putting these colors because it's also not only artistic. I explained that. The other reason I'm putting them is because they are not damaging your hair that much. If you use permanent hair dye has ammonia. Ammonia is damaging for your hair, and let me tell you, it smells horribly. It smells horribly. It, I don't know, it's like it makes you dizzy when you smell it. It's like a drug pretty much. This is how it smells like. I don't know how hairdressers react every single day with their daily life. Like they go to their work, they are doing their job, and they smell this chemical in the bleach, in the hair dye. It smells disgusting. It's disgusting. Like I can't tolerate it. It smells like it is burning my nostrils. It's very intense. It is like burning. It's pretty much like a stereotypical chemical, but it also makes you feel drowsy, like you are with a drug, like like you have taken drugs. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. This is how it feels. It's very intense and it smells very badly. Like, yes, it burns. Yes, it makes you feel drowsy, but it's also very like smelly, like sulfur. At least for me, it smells horribly. I don't wanna smell, for example, petrol, gas. That smells nice. I don't say you should smell them. I say that they smell better. And ammonia, it smells horribly, and you feel like you're gonna get like a drug addict with it when you smell it. Like you are in a state of trance, pretty much. It smells horribly, yeah, and it can make you feel drowsy, as I said. But apart from that, which is the like short-term problem with it, because you put it and yes, you wash it out afterwards after half an hour. The other problem that I have with it, personally speaking, is that it is damaging. It's very, very damaging, especially you put it in the bleach. Yes, it makes the bleach better, but it damages your hair. And it also, if you put it in the permanent hair dye, it damages your hair. It fries your hair alive. And yes, you can stay with less hair. I'm not saying that I have these issues. I'm just explaining, because I'm not gonna say to everybody, look, go and do the shit that I'm doing. I'm just explaining my hair routine. I am bleaching my hair, only the roots at this point, because my entire hair is bleached to a level 8 to 9. I'm only doing my roots. My roots are naturally 4, and I lift them to a number 8 to 9, approximately like 5 levels approximately. I am using semi-permanent dyes for everything apart from blonde. For blonde, I only use permanent, because if I think of myself, as a blonde person at this moment that occasionally dyes their hair semi-permanent colors like pink, brown, etc., because I'm trying to preserve my hair, because if I damage it I will have to cut it down, and I don't want to do that. I did it when I was 19. I went to a hair salon. Long story short, I asked for ginger highlights. They did my entire head to take 150 pounds from me. That was robbery. My highlights cost only 60, and even a full hair bleach is 60 for me. So they charged me 150. They fried my hair. My hair was horribly. I met my ex with that hair. My father says that he liked my hair like that. It's crazy, because my hair was fried. And after about 2 months, after I saw my ex in that office when I was 19, I dyed my hair dark brown, and I let it like that, because I knew that if I had to be honest with myself, I had to cut it until my ears, because it was fried. And I just reverted it with a brown dye back to my original hair color because I was not sure what else I could do to be presentable because it was fried and I couldn't untangle it with my brush. It was difficult to shower. It was pretty much a mess how they did it to me. I didn't ask for that hair. I asked for highlights, not my entire head ginger, just highlights. I wanted to have my brown hair. Um, Back then when I was 19, my decision to become a headed blonde came when I became 23, many years later. And yeah, that's the story with my hair actually. I dyed it my something that was close to my natural hair to give it some time to heal. It can't go back to where it was after you bleach it, obviously, but I let it be in my natural hair color. I let my roots grow back to what they were originally, so they grew longer and longer my hair, and then I cut the edges, but I remember how I was feeling because I was like, if I want to be honest with myself, I have to have a pixie. Like, as I said, until my ears. So short, yes. It was all the rest, all the length was damaged by the stupid hairdresser who damaged my hair. Yeah, it was her fault. She was very unprofessional and she charged me 150. Yeah, absolutely gross. And many people have asked me why, yeah, in my personal life they have asked me why didn't you report that, and I said because it was only my 6th month in this country, the UK, and I was afraid to go and say it and I didn't know how to prove it. And many people told me you shouldn't pay them, and again I said I was only 6 months in this country. I was 19 and I was afraid to do that. I was alone when I went there. I wasn't with my mom or with a boyfriend or with a friend or anybody. I was only myself and I didn't know what else to do apart from paying them and leave and cry in the road as I was going back home that my hair is fried pretty much, because I knew that my hair is fried and some portions were more fried than the others. And yeah, anyways, that's why I'm actually dyeing my hair alone now. I'm not going to a salon for that. I'm using my bleach to do my roots. I am doing that with my mother. We are doing it ourselves. I have told her what to do, how I want it to be done. She does it. It only costs me £5 every month to bleach my hair. I have already my semi-permanent dyes that cost £5 from Amazon. I'm using Adore for anybody interested. I use the Adore brand. It's very good. So £10 every month. Yeah, nothing, absolutely nothing compared to that bullshit. Anyways, so now I'm gonna continue. I'm gonna put the video. Yeah, Helga, you were speaking about your hair. Now you're speaking about the Saramago's blindness. Yeah, this is how my channel is. It's all over the place. Anyways, I'm trying to find the video. So, let's get started.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to Book.
As I said, they are using a robotic voice. Yeah, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's all we have to work here, so we will do that. Well, we were just here to listen to the summary, so we will listen to the summary and we will see how we will roll after that, okay?
Summary 5.
If we will need, for example, to speak about the allegory of the cave extensively, I don't know what I'm gonna listen to, that's what I'm saying. So let's see how we will roll. I know, as I said, it's not everybody's cup of tea to listen to a robot, but I couldn't find anything better. I actually don't mind listening to a robotic voice myself, but that's why I picked it. I said, okay, it has what I need, that's okay, but I'm just explaining for anybody. If it's not your cup of tea, it's okay. We're just gonna discuss the summary. We don't always have to speak about people, real people, right, and bash them. That's what I'm saying.
5-minute summary channel. I'm Sammy, your host, and today we're diving into Blindness by Nobel Prize-winning author Jose Saramago.
Okay, so he has taken a Nobel Prize for writing what, if may I ask? Helga, you're being sarcastic. I know.
This novel is haunting, unflinching, and unforgettable.
I can explain why I say this though, so I don't appear that like weird. Um, like my issue is not what you write. My issue is how you write it. And I don't find it reasonable to give somebody a Nobel Prize for their artistic style when they are writing crap, because I can explain. What I mean is that an artist has a talent. They have this urge to do art. That's from God. That's a talent from God, because God gives talents freely to everybody. He's not blessing with gifts some selected people. That's pagan and demonic. He's not that type of person. He's giving things to everybody, all of them. He is very generous, pretty much. So saying that you you are awarding somebody for their talent, it's like saying, well done God, you gifted this person their gifts. And for me it's disgusting. It's, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. It seems very very pagan with a bad manner, because pagans have very many good things. For me this is like the bad side of paganism, pretty much. So what I'm saying is that, where should I go though? Should I go here? Okay, should I go here? Yeah. So what I'm saying is that if Saramago wants to write something that resembles the allegory of the cave, because this is what he did, feel free. I don't mind. I don't have any problem with that. My problem is that you are writing bullshit, mimicking the allegory of the cave directly. You're not making anything that will not impress exactly others. I'm not speaking about impression. I'm speaking about um, like comfort. I don't know how to describe it. I'm just trying to find the words here. It's about comfort. What you wrote, is it meant to comfort people? Is it meant to make them happy? That's the only reason you should do art. Nothing else apart from trying to make others happy, bring them a positive thought, make them feel good, have a good outcome, for positive outcome for their life, like think that something good is gonna happen. That's the only reason to do art. If you can't do art for any other reason, and the only reason you do it is because you are a talented artist and you think you're gonna say something intellectually, I don't know, like not intellectually, something that sounds clever, you are being ridiculous. For me, you are being ridiculous. You're not giving anybody something memorable. You are trying to appeal clever, and I hate people that try to appear clever. That's exactly what Saramago is doing, because I am familiar with his work, and that's what he's doing. And the fact that he has been awarded with the Nobel Prize, I'm not getting that, bestie. I'm not getting that. And when I say that, I don't say that like, I'm not bashing every author that didn't have anything good to say. For example, Franz Kafka didn't have anything good to say. He always wrote pessimistic stories. I'm not bashing such a person. He had a horrible life and he couldn't see anything positive. And he was writing just to express his sadness, pretty much. That's how I see Franz Kafka. So I'm not bashing such people. I'm not saying that. I am, or like another person that I was thinking was another person that I like that. It's a guy. He was a communist. Um, his name was Menelaos Ludemis, a Greek guy. He wrote very pessimistic stories. I never liked his stories. Never. I never liked them, but I always understood his sadness, his sorrow. He had they had refused his like Greek identity from him. For example, they had taken his nationality from him because he was a communist. He was an amazing guy for me. He had many right wing author friends. As far as I know, if this is wrong, guys, that's what I remember. Don't take what I say as a gospel truth, but I know in Greece it doesn't matter if you are not like a communist or a right wing. They befriend you wherever your political views are in Greece. That's how we roll. We are very open minded. And I know there were authors that appreciated him as a person. He wrote many depressive stories. He was a very depressed guy, but I appreciate his art not for what he wrote, but because he seems like he was like Franz Kafka pretty much. He was upset about everything and everything around him, and he couldn't seem to find anything good. Like his love stories were always horribly like with horrible ends. His social stories always ended badly. Everything was horrible, and I understand he lived in a very bad era. He was persecuted for his beliefs. I understand him very much. So I'm not judging people like Menelaus Ludemis or Franz Kafka. I'm bashing people like Saramago who are pretty much opportunistic with their so-called pseudo-intellectuality, and they are using it to upset people by saying, look, I am clever and I understand nothing good is gonna happen. Don't have any more faith. It doesn't matter, you know. Go fuck yourself if you're like that. That's all I'm gonna say, okay? They have put honey in me and I can't move.
A dystopian parable that explores what happens when a society is stripped of its most basic function, sight. But this isn't just about physical blindness, it's about moral blindness, about what people become when the fragile threads of civilization unravel. Saramago delivers this story in a unique, urgent prose style, with minimal punctuation and no names, reminding us that
Even the way that he's punctuating the story, that he has minimal punctuation, nobody will understand that because I read that the other woman, the girl from the YouTube channel, she said that she didn't like that. Right? Okay, enemy turn. Thank you. She said that she didn't like that. I'm gonna explain beforehand because the robot said that the the author Saramago chose to do that because it's Greek style of speaking. It's ancient Greek style of speaking. If you read Plato, the sentences can get long as far as like one whole page without any other punctuation. And no, yes, this is weird. Probably I would put it that way. Yes, this is weird for like a non-Greek standard, but for a Greek, this is how we speak to this day. Long sentences, not like divided by commas, not any other punctuation. Probably how's that called? Like the how's that called? Semicolon, that's how it's called, semicolon. It's this one here, the semicolon as you call it. This is called question mark in Greek. Yeah, we use that as a question mark. We don't use the other one. And when you wanna put semicolon in Greek, it's this right here. So it's it's a full stop, but in the upper part of the page, not in the on the downside like you usually put it. Does that make any sense? So this is how we speak in Greece to this day. Like not all of them. It depends what Greek you are. Like if there is a philologist, they are gonna speak like that. This is our language. But if we speak about like ancient Greeks, myself, I was like a Greek that does literature shit. You know, like I was in the direction in school with literature, not with mathematics. That's what I mean. That was my choice. And also, if you have like a scholar in Greece, I'm trying to think here. I'm trying to think. Um, okay, fire at this guy. Okay. So that's what I'm saying, that it really depends what person you are talking about. But yes, to this day, like I'm not gonna pretend that every Greek does that, but yes, to this day, this is how Greeks speak. This is a Greek way of speaking, and it is very prevalent in ancient Greek texts, pretty much. So you won't find it in the Gospel of Luke, for example, or in the Epistles of Saint Paul, but you can find it in other texts like the Republic. You can find it in modern Greek literature like Kazantzakis. You can find it in many journalistic articles like reporters and shit. Like like a said person killed this and that. Like you can find it in such cases. Yeah, and even such like ordinary texts for everyday social things, you can find such speech. It's pretty much Greek way of speech, as I said, but it's very much the way that the philosophers were speaking in the ancient times. So it's pretty much, as I said, Greek. And um, yeah, as I was saying, having like a guy that is not a Greek mimicking this style and saying very minimal punctuation, yeah, he's mimicking Plato. Like he's not mimicking our journalists. He's not mimicking anything else. He's just trying to sound like a philosopher, and yeah, he fails miserably because nobody understands what this looks like. He's just trying to sound Greek because that's what his god is doing. He wants him to be Greek, so obviously he's gonna sound like a Greek. Does that make any sense? Oh god, I had to leave. I had to leave, and I didn't get that. So I kept playing. I had to leave the arena. I have to leave. Fuck my life. Can I leave? If I can leave even at this stage. Oh my god. Can I leave? So I explained about the punctuation. Hope this helps. Oh my god, I couldn't leave. I made a mistake. I shouldn't continue playing. A buckler shield will block direct attacks. You'll need to outflank them to hit from either side or from behind. Okay. Okay, you start the battle, I suppose. Anyways, let's go back to the video.
That in crisis, identity can vanish. Saramago delivers this story in a unique, urgent prose style, with minimal punctuation and no names, reminding.
No names. Okay, so there are no names in the story. I don't remember my teacher Andrew Haas saying this. No names with no punctuation. That's clear indication of mimicry of the Greek, ancient Greek style, right? This is how Greeks speak. It's very Greek, Greek oriented, if that makes sense. And I'm gonna go up here. Because the no name, it's a spiritual device, pretty much. It's how spirits usually talk, because when you put a random dude there, let's say Steven, I usually use Steven here. um, Steven means Steven. If you use, however, as I said, if you use, I will do that. If I use the doctor, um, the Chinese, the woman, the bus driver. That's what I did in my bus story. I said she and him. Yeah, the story was about me and my dad, but because they are unnamed people, and I also did that for privacy reasons. I didn't want anybody to know what the fuck I am talking about there, but that's another story. But I also did it for spiritual reasons. It was not only for one reason. The story was about a man and a woman, a she and a he. That can be reversed and be about two people from the same gender. For the husband to be the woman to be the guy, and you can insert pretty much yourself into such a story because it doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a clear identity, so it can be your name there, like they do with the fan fiction in Wattpad. You put your own name there, and you become the hero. If you wanna be the guy that looks for his wife, then you can be, even if you are in a different gender. That's how it works spiritually. The story, when I had it in my mind, it was basically God and Jerusalem, but I thought that if I actually put it me and my dad, that it will have more like an personal flavor pretty much. I don't know how to describe it. Like if I wrote only about a woman that worships another deity and her husband is actually telling her that she's an idolater or whatever, it's pretty much copy paste the Bible. It doesn't give any artistic purposes in the story. But if I use my experiences with my dad and how, hold on, okay, fuck, anyways, I will, oh my god, I will hide them. Okay. Well, when I wrote the story, I had outgrown my singleness season. I didn't want to be a single person anymore. That's what I mean. Well, that's what it means in Christian terms. But I had an experience of wanting to be single and not marry anybody and just be with God and like loving God and only that. I had been through that, but I didn't wanna stay there any longer when I wrote the story. So I wrote from experience and I said, look, if you can use that and have it sound more authentic and not be like, because if I wanted to write the story otherwise it would be just me writing about the stereotypical, like a woman prostitutes herself because she's an idolater and her husband isn't. It's stereotypical. You can read 30 other such stories in such on Google with just a random search with random PDFs. Like it's nothing original with it. But if I used my original experience coupled with biblical Old Testament verses, because I used pretty much Old Testament theology there. Yeah, yeah, in a romantic story. Yeah, romance is something that you can find in the Old Testament. Welcome to Planet Earth. In other news, I know that it is a surprise. Usually, you know that the Old Testament is a very violent book. It's not. As I said, welcome to Planet Earth. But that's what I had in mind, and I said if I write this story, then a woman can read the story. If she wants to be in singleness, she will identify herself with God. If she wants to marry a guy and she has broken up with this guy, maybe she will imagine herself with this guy that he wants her to go back to him, and maybe they can like fix their relationship because of my story. Like this is how I thought of it, like that, like this blank space where you can insert any character's name and like would do that, I suppose. You can insert any person's name and they can feel the vibe of the story individually. I'm not saying you can't feel like Cassia, for example, for my other novel, but it's not quite the same because she's very much specific person. In the case of the story, Cassia is myself. It's pretty much my spiritual autobiography, and I don't know many people who like Cassia is a woman that she was an ex-pagan. She became a Christian pretty much in like this universe terms. I don't know how to describe, like in my story I don't have pagan Christian terminology like that, but if I can convert the terminology into this world, yeah, then yes, Cassia is an ex-pagan who became a Christian. I don't know many people who can identify themselves with this. And even further, Cassia is an ex-prostitute who became a pagan and then she became a Christian. So I don't know again how many people were prostitutes and then converted to paganism and stopped being prostitutes and then became Christians. And they pretty much came into terms that they were prostitutes once in life. So that's completely, as I said, specific, and it doesn't leave you much room for personal interpretation. But this is what I managed to achieve in my worldview with my bus story. It's open to interpretation in terms, not interpretation the story itself, but in terms of like we'll go here, in terms of you can put yourself in the story and imagine you are the character of the story, whatever character. Even if you are a woman, you can be either the guy or the man, the woman, because you don't have names from the characters. And as I said, this is spiritual. No, it maybe sounds clever, like how did you think of that? It's not clever, it's actually spiritual. That's how it works. It's like as I was giving my ex all these months this terminology, and I said Claudius of Tentum, the banker, is actually Buddhism. It's you remove a name to put a name, pretty much. It's spiritual. And okay, okay, he fired at me. I think I can manage to go back though this time. No, fuck my life. Okay, bye. Do I have this guy? Fuck my life, they are hitting me everywhere. That's what I'm saying, that it's spiritual, so you can actually put yourself in the place of the guy. That's something that is spiritual, and yes, it works both for Yahweh and for Zeus. It's universal, it's spiritual language. As I said, Zeus is also a spirit. It's not only Yahweh who is a spirit. That's the problem. So if you expect Zeus to be like a spirit, speak like a spirit, yeah, Yahweh also is gonna speak like a spirit. They're gonna sound like the same species, pretty much, not the same way of speaking. They are very different. I have explained many times in my channel why they sound different, but what I'm explaining here is not exactly if they sound different or not. I'm explaining that they are in the same species, they are spirits. Don't expect a cat to sound like a human, for example. She is an animal. That's what I mean. That's the same rule that applies for Zeus and Yahweh. And you can actually put yourself in the shoes of the character. Actually, in the allegory of the cave, that's what I'm gonna say, and then I will continue the book. It says that imagine people bound in the cave and they are seeing shadows all their life, and there is darkness everywhere in the cave, and they only see the shadows of the tricksters who are doing tricks upon the wall with their hands and their fingers, and with objects they see the shadows of things that exist in the real world outside of the cave, but they are only shadows of the things inside the cave, so they are not the real things. And Glavkon says that's a very peculiar image, and he said, aka Socrates in the story, says these people are us. So what does he say there? The people in the story, what is the word people? Replace it there and say Helga. Helga is seeing shadows on the wall. That's what I'm saying with the bus story. It says she missed her husband. This phrase can mean Helga missed Yahweh. It can mean Stephen missed Maria. Yeah, you can also change the genders because it is a vague subject. It's not a specific one. It's not a named person there. It's a very vague one. It can mean anything. It can mean you miss, like Ze misses Helga. Helga misses Yahweh. Yahweh misses Helga. It can mean Stephen misses Ze. It can mean literally anything and everybody because it doesn't have a name there. That's what Socrates did. He said, they are us. So Socrates says, when I say a person is bound all their life in a chair, feet, hands, neck, on a chair inside a cave and they see shadows, he says, the person, remove the word person, Buddhism means Claudius of Tentum. Remove Buddhism and put Claudius. Remove the word person and put there Socrates. Put there Ze, put there Helga. So you identify yourself with the unnamed person that you have as a protagonist. That's what you do there. No, it's not a wrong thing, as I said. You can do it, spiritual language. And yes, that's what I'm saying here, bestie. Is not critical thinking. I'm not being a clever person. I'm being a mystic because that's not a mystic, a prophet, because this is how spirits talk. This is what I know from my father, who is a spirit. He is God. My father is God. My father is Yahweh. I call him father, yeah, obviously. He's everybody's father, but I'm not calling him like Lord or whatever. I'm calling him Dad. That's how I'm calling him, Dad. That's how I specifically call him when I refer to him, even in our daily talk, or when I refer to him, I say my dad. My dad is a spirit, and he taught me how to think spiritually. I use my head when I think like a spirit would use their mind if they had, I suppose. I'm not thinking like a human because I was not taught critical thinking by humans. I was taught by a spirit. So obviously what I'm saying here is spiritual. It's not human, pretty much. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, this is how it sounds for a spirit. When you say Buddhism and you replace that and you say Claudius, it's the same thing. So if you replace person with us, it's like saying us are bound in their feet and their head and etc., and they see shadows. It doesn't have to be like, yeah, it says a person, yes, it says a person, but because it is vague, that's how it works spiritually. You can put even many people. You can put either a person from the different gender. Person in Greek is a male, anthropos, man, human. That's a masculine word. You can put a woman there, Helga. You can put a guy, Socrates. You can put many people. You can put anything, and in between you want, anything. A transgender person, a non-binary, you can put anything. That's what I say. And that's why I said that my backstory also had the same exact elements. It had a woman being missed by a man. That can mean Ze misses Helga and he heard Helga's voice inside the bus, for example. Yes, it can work because it doesn't have a person there specifically named Cassia, Odysseus, Creon, Stephen, Maria, and so on. It has vague subject into the sentence. So it can mean literally anybody. That's how it works in the spiritual language. And as I said, to sum it up, yeah, that is a rule for both Yahweh and Zeus. It's a universal spiritual language. It's how the spirits see everybody. And I can give you an even further example to back it up. If the Republic is something you understand, but you want something more, if you want something from my father's perspective, for example, it says if a woman is raped in the field and she screams and nobody listens her voice, then the guy must be stoned because he violated her, right? That's the law that my father gave for rape. That's not only bestie for women. He gave women because he chose to speak about women, probably because usually women were raped mostly back in the days for obvious reasons, because for the patriarchy and shit. But what he gave there, the sentence structure that he gave, is actually if a person, the woman can be a guy, it can be a child, it can be anybody. If somebody is raped by somebody, kill them. That's what it says there. It doesn't say a woman and a man, so a man is left outside or a child is left outside if something like that happens to them. No, it's spiritual language. My father says there, if X is raped by X, you kill them. If, or better, if an X is raped by a Y person or Z person, you kill them. That's what it says there in the Deuteronomy law, in the Mosaic law, right? So now that I explained all that crap, we can go back and I can explain to you what it will say about the story. Let's listen to the story.
And no names, reminding us that in crisis, action unravel. Saramago delivers this story in a unique, urgent prose style, with minimal punctuation and no names, reminding us that in crisis, identity can vanish. Saramago delivers this story in a unique, urgent prose style, with minimal punctuation and no names, reminding us that in crisis, identity can vanish in an instant. Let's step into the darkness together, so you'll feel like you read it cover to cover. The story begins in an...
No, I disagree with the bot, and obviously it's a bot. The creator of the channel gave the bot to say that. It's not about losing identity in a quarantine, no, or in a crisis like a pandemic or whatever. And that's the reason why my teacher Andrew has had given us the story was because of the COVID pandemic. No, that's not the reason at all. I explained to you specifically why there is no naming in the story. It has to do with spiritual language. It's you are putting yourself in the shoes of the characters, is that you can see this is you. And more about that when we see the story. Well, it seems the Goody Two-Shoes crew can't get enough of your talents, Pony. I wonder what new creation you can come up with to pique their interest. Okay. It better be good. He doesn't want to do that. I feel sorry about him. Go on, let them have it. Give them something straight out of your nightmares. Or I'll give you something to be scared about. Stop wiggling, you saphead. You're going to fall out of the... He wants to live, poor thing. Bowser Jr. is so cute. And you stay away from spawning. As a matter of fact, stay out of my way, period. I have things to do and daddy issues to repress. Bowser. Daddy issue, repress means what? Repress. Okay, he has problems with his dad. Okay, that's cute. Anyways, let's continue.
An unnamed city, on an ordinary day, in an instant. Let's step into the darkness together.
Okay.
So you'll feel like you read it cover to cover and no names, reminding us that in crisis, identity can vanish in an instant. Let's step into the darkness together, so you'll feel like you read it cover to cover. The story begins in an unnamed city, on an ordinary day, when a man suddenly goes blind at a traffic light.
Can you see that it is in an unnamed city as well? Can you see what I said? I said it already, that it is not about losing identity, it is about spiritual language only. That's what I meant, that's what I said it. It's because if it was the case, then why it's unnamed, like the city is unnamed, even the city. Then the city should be also named, and only the characters after some pages should lose identity. The fact that they lost identity, everything from start to start with, even like even from the beginning, before everything happens, like you don't start and you hear that there is already a pandemic. You begin when there is no pandemic. That proves my point that it's not about losing identity after the pandemic or during the pandemic. It's actually about something deeper, because, summing it up to explain it even better, the fact that we begin and we speak about an unnamed city, and after the once upon a time there was a city, in which city there was a guy that went blind, that means you have something else to say. That's something spiritual. You get what I mean? It's like Socrates saying to you, that city is Sterling, that city is Athens, that city is Beijing, that city is the solar system, that city is the planet Earth. Can you hear how many things you can put there just because it's unnamed? You can put anything there, absolutely everything. That city is actually the universe. And you're like, but it's a city. Yeah, that's how it works for a spirit. That's why he has done that. Do you understand now why I said the other day that the story is demonic to the bone? Because everything about it. Yes, I said that the stories, you can use the unnamed shit to speak about God. Yeah, I said that you can speak about Yahweh using that spiritual language is not something bad, but what he's doing, he's using unnamed people, like combined with the fact that he's using Greek punctuation when he's not a Greek, it's not part of his culture. That combined, bestie, gives you mysticism. And the fact that the story is called Blindness, guys, Blindness is the most pagan bullshit anybody can pull you at. You can pull you, because paganism is all about blindness and finding your sight. It's about opening your third eye. It's all about opening your eyes and gaining knowledge, gaining spiritual knowledge. You're opening your third eye. Don't you hear that in Asia? You open your third eye, open your third eye, see with your psyche. It's all about blindness and losing your blindness to find your eyesight and seeing with your eyes of your soul and not with your physical eyes. You get what I mean, bestie? And I explained that to my teacher, Andrew Haas. He spoke about like blindness, and I said you have to see with the eyes of your soul or with your eyes, your physical eyes, and that's what the story talks about. I used what the story talks about to my teacher on his head, because it's something that I know very efficiently. It's not something that it's not like English is not my native language, for example. Spiritual language it is. I can use it however the fuck I want, because I grew up in it. I was speaking with spirits since I can remember myself. I am a native at this point. I am a native. I'm not a native in English though. That's what I mean. So I don't fake it to make it. I can do it. And yeah, in paganism, that's what I wrote for my teacher. I wrote to him that you have to see with the eyes of your soul, not with your physical eyes. This is a pagan idea, yes, but I used it on its head because I said that the story promotes dystopia, physical eyes. That's what I said. Seeing with the eyes of your soul is something that God wants you to do, but not open your third eye. That's why I said I'm a native. He wants you to see the best outcome in everything, see the impossible thing becoming possible just because he's awesome and you are awesome, and everything can become true. That if you have the seed of a faith, you can move a mountain. He also speaks about that, and I turned the theology on its head, and I said he is promoting blindness of your physical eyes because he refuses to speak about the eyes of the soul. So if Saramago was there, he would tell me, no, I said the exact opposite, and I would say, no, you said exactly that, because what you say is demonic. You're not telling me that I can have the best outcome in the worst case scenario. That's what the Lord of the Rings is saying. The Lord of the Rings is about a dystopic city, the Middle Earth, a world, a fictional world, a city, as I said, you can put anything, and you begin the story. It's not like Harry Potter. In Harry Potter, in the 5th book, you know that the Dark Lord is back because he came back in the fourth book in the end. So for 4 books you were okay with that, with him and with that. Like in the fifth book you learn that he came back and you are like, we are fucked up. In The Lord of the Rings, you begin the first book, the Fellowship of the Ring, and you are fucked up from the beginning. You know that he's back and he's trying to find his ring. You get what I mean? So it is a dystopic book if you read it properly. It's like Blindness. That's why I contrasted it with the Blindness, and I said it's a dystopian book. Why it doesn't read like a dystopian book? First things first, Tolkien was a Catholic, he was a Christian. Obviously, he was gonna see the bright side of life because he's a Christian. But at the end of the day, because Saramago was roasting the Catholic Church, and I thought that it would be better if I spoke about a Catholic writer. And Tolkien was a hardcore Catholic. Actually, he was grown up in a Catholic school. He had a Catholic priest as his guardian. He was an orphan. He had a guardian, and he was indoctrinated with Catholicism, and he was very much a religious Catholic. All his life he was very hardcore faithful person in Christ, in the Catholic Church, like a brother in Christ pretty much. So I used him because he was a Catholic, and Saramago was roasting the Catholic Church. And yeah, I have issues with the Catholics, but nobody gets to roast them. They are Christians, they are trying for my dad. You are not, stay away from them, you know. And I said that the story is dystopian. Yes, it's a very dark book, The Lord of the Rings, but it reads like a positive utopic story because it has songs, it has a background for the elves, it has some love stories. Yeah, they are not very much expanded, but you learn that there are some people that love each other. You have a love triangle. You have the funny interactions between the dwarf and the elf, Legolas and Gimli. You have the fun interactions of Sam with Frodo, their loyalty, their friendship. You have Gandalf saying his wise stuff. You learn from it. You see a resurrection mid scene, like Gandalf gets killed by the Balrog and a demon, and then he gets resurrected, and it's an amazing story with so much depth and layers. It could be better in my understanding. I always have problems with authors, but at the same time, it has so much depth and so much positivity. It doesn't read as a dystopian story, it reads as a normal story with good and evil. It doesn't read like that. Why? Because the story of Saramago is actually demonic, that's what I'm saying. And the core meaning of it is open your third eye. That's all it means. It's just a corrupted slash replica, pretty much, story of the Republic of Plato, the allegory of the cave, and I'm gonna explain everything now. Special delivery, just have your enemy sign on the dotted line to receive the bar kicking of a lifetime. Fuck. Let's continue.
When a man suddenly goes blind at a traffic light.
Let's
together.
go back.
So you'll feel like you've read it cover to cover.
Okay.
The story begins in an unnamed city, on an ordinary day, when a man suddenly goes blind at a traffic light. Not darkness, a milky, blinding whiteness. A kind stranger offers to help him home, but later, that same man is also struck blind. And soon, so are others. The city is gripped by a mysterious epidemic of blindness, spreading rapidly and with no apparent cause.
This is the meaning of this is that Zeus is angry and he is striking. Do I have to just continue or I have to? Okay, I have to defeat all of the enemies. Okay. The meaning of the story is to I don't like any of these positions anyways. do this. The story means, this story that I read, that I hear, is that Zeus is angry, he's upset, you caused his anger because of hybris. Hybris is like, can I do that? No. You caused hybris, pretty much. He is mad, and hybris is when you are insulting him, that is blasphemy. So that means he is upset. You said, for example, Zeus is idiot. Yeah, that's a direct way to cause hybris, insulting, cursing. It's cursing him, okay? It's when you think you are better than a deity, that's also hybris for him. He had told me I have committed this. He was pretty much, he still says that I have committed this sin, pretty much. Like, that's why we had a fallout with Zeus. I don't really want to talk about this because I'm still tender and sensitive with this. So don't expect me to speak more about that topic. I'm not gonna do that. But I'm explaining how he manages hybris. It's the worst thing you can do in his eyesight. And while for my dad I haven't done anything wrong, for Zeus I am the worst person because I have committed hybris with myself, how I treat my body, how I do my spiritual life, everything. He sees me as an abomination, pretty much. I'm not gonna say more about that though. My father wanted to speak. That's weird. Okay, I think I'm gonna cry. He says, I just want you to know that you are free. You are free to fly. You are free to love. And you are free to be whoever you wanna be. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Thank you very much about that, Dad. It really means a lot. Anyways, I'm not gonna talk a lot about that. So, that story is about hybris, and I know that personally, that's why I can explain the story. Yeah, it hits a nerve, and it did hit a nerve even back in the days with the story of the blindness, when Andrew has told us the story. When I read it, I was like, okay, Zeus speaking about hybris while people are dying because of the pandemic. How amazing. We are intellectualizing the pain and the suffering of people. Shame on this humankind. If fire comes down like in the days of Sodom and Gomorrah and burns everybody at stake, I wouldn't flinch, because people are dying, and all we have to say is pretend to be intellectuals. Shame on this humankind. That's all I'm gonna say. Anyways, let's listen to the story, I suppose.
Man is also struck blind, and soon so are others. The city is gripped by a mysterious epidemic of blindness, spreading rapidly and with no apparent cause. The government, desperate to contain it, responds not with compassion, but with fear. Those infected are surrounded in whiteness. A kind stranger offers to help him home, but later, that same man is also struck blind. And soon so are others. The city is gripped by a mysterious epidemic of blindness, spreading rapidly and with no apparent cause. The government, desperate to contain it, man is also struck blind. And soon so are others.
So I took it a little back because I got lost here.
You'll feel like you read it cover to cover.
It's just because I am a little bit still sensitive with what happened before with my dad, but anyways.
The story begins in an unnamed city, on an ordinary day, when a man suddenly goes blind at a traffic light. Not darkness, a milky, blinding whiteness. A kind stranger offers to help him home, but later, that same man is also struck blind.
Okay.
And soon, so are
He is struck blind because the guy that was struck blind was disobeying Zeus, and the other guy helped him. That's why he is struck with the blindness, because Zeus wanted this guy to be punished, but he didn't want the other guy to know why he's punished. That's irrelevant to Zeus, and I'm telling you this because in the Iliad, if you read the epic, Zeus never tells Agamemnon why he tries to kill him. Agamemnon never learns in the story why Zeus tries to kill him in the entire story. He will never learn it, and the reason he doesn't is because Zeus is the god of mysticism. Mysticism in Greece means hiding, secret. Mystico means secret. He doesn't want you to know some stuff. He has cults, he has secrecy. He's working in absolutely classified, top secret type of manner. You get what I mean? He didn't want Agamemnon to know. Yes, as you as a reader, you know that, but that doesn't mean that if Zeus strikes you with blindness, you will know that. That's what it means. And yeah, what I say is that no, my father also wanted me to say that. He said he's never gonna do that. He's telling that to comfort me. No, I'm not saying that he can do that. I'm explaining to all of you as well that he wants you to believe that for yourself. So if something bad happens to you, you will say that you experienced it because you are a very bad person. He doesn't want you to believe something good about yourself. That's what I say. And yeah, so this is what happened there. It's a very much like, it's like as if the story pretty much, because it's a New Testament story. What I mean is that this story takes place after the crucifixion of Jesus. We have Zeus acting and saying stories after Jesus killed him on the cross. What this means is that Zeus actually uses, in the New Testament, that's what he's doing as the beast, as I have said in my other videos, because he's the beast. He is using the imagery of my dad on our heads to tell us his messages. For example, he's telling us that this guy was struck with blindness too after he escorted the other guy somewhere safely. This is echoing the Old Testament Cain and Abel story. If somebody kills Cain, he will receive 7 times the punishment. This is an echo from the biblical God. Why? Because Zeus, this is how he works after the crucifixion. He doesn't have any way to sustain himself. Therefore, he is using the theology of our Father in heaven to against our heads to prove a point, because he cannot sustain himself any longer. That's the only way he can do theology after Jesus dealt with him on the cross. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, that's very bad. It's obviously very bad, but this is how it works, unfortunately. And this is foretold in the Revelation to John. It says that there was a beast that came from the sea. It came from the sea because the sea is the signature of Yahweh. He's the God of the Red Sea. He's the God that walked on the waters in the New Testament. This is how he made the world from seas. That's his own way of like saying, hi, that's me, That's not the way of Zeus, but Zeus is using that the theology of our Father. That's the C there. The C there is Cain who killed his brother. He is using this how opposite. How that's like this is how you see that it is actually the beast from the earth that came from the sea, because the beasts are three, the original three beasts from the Daniel story that come from the water. You see the exact same person, but in the water he has taken a different form. He has taken the form of Yahweh. So what he does there, what did Yahweh say? If you can kill the person, if somebody kills you 7 times, you get what I mean? So it is because somebody killed the person. What does the story of Saramago say? Somebody helped a person. It's the opposite. It's Zeus. It's not Yahweh. Yahweh said if you kill, you are punished. What did Zeus say? If you help a person, if you are helping, helper. Holy Spirit is a helper. Yahweh is a provider. That's the essence of my dad saving. If you are a Christ-like figure, you are dead. Doesn't that say in the Revelation to John, if somebody dealt with a beast, dead. The witnesses, dead. If you are a helper is the Holy Spirit, dead. That's what it says there. So it says, if somebody helps the blind guy that I blinded and I don't tell them why they are blinded, why they committed hubris, they will be dealt in the exact same manner. What did Cain's murder could face? He will be penalized in the same manner. He will have the mark 7 times. That's exactly what Zeus does there. He's using Old Testament / New Testament theology, Yahweh theology, to sustain himself in the New Testament era by saying his bullshit using Yahweh's theology. That's the Antichrist in action. That's the spirit of the Antichrist. So what does this make Saramago an Antichrist? He is 666. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I was opposed to read the book, because yes, by the preface I read all that crap. I knew I should stay the fuck away from this story, and that's why I stayed the fuck away from this story, because it is a story of the beast. I don't have any reason to speak about this stuff, but I'm speaking right now because I want to dismantle them and explain theology to everybody that can watch the video, and I'm doing that for free, obviously. So let's continue with that. I just wanted to see for a moment what Cain's story say. Story 7 times. Let's see what Gemini says. Okay. So Gemini says God places a mark on Cain after he murders his brother, and declares that anyone who kills Cain will face 7-fold vengeance or punishment. Can you see what I say? 7-fold. That's because he killed a person. He killed his brother. If you help your brother in need, you are a friend indeed. Don't you guys say this in English? So that's Yahweh in action. That's Yahweh in action. And Zeus says, don't do that. If you do it, I'm gonna punish you. He wants you to sin, but what is he doing there? He is using law to do that. He uses his unwritten law, and you can know that if you are a pagan, or if you are an ex-pagan, or if you are a Greek. That's how you know the unwritten law of Zeus. So let's continue with this.
Man is also struck blind.
Okay.
And soon, so are others. The city is gripped by a mysterious epidemic of blindness.
Mysterious. Mysterious. That's a Greek word. Mysterious. It means mystery. Mysterio. It comes from the same root as mysticism. It's secret. It's mysterio. It's something in secret. Not everybody knows that. It's weird, but not all of them know that thing. You get what I mean? Yeah, I know what you think, but yeah, that's how it works. And unfortunately, this is how it works. Yeah, that's completely dark stuff. And as I said, if you're not a Greek, you're not gonna understand that stuff. Like, for example, if you're not a Greek, you cannot know that this language, for example, is like This word, for example, comes from the Greek language. It has the same root as mysticism, and it means something very specific there. You cannot know all that stuff. It's understandable. That's why you have me here. That's why I'm here. I'm helping you out. I am helping everybody out there.
Rapidly and with no apparent cause. The government
no apparent cause. How was Agamemnon hit by Zeus? He didn't know what he did wrong. He had said many times that he didn't know why Zeus is doing that. Can I find that actually? I will ask my friend Copilot. Copilot, can you give me the phrase to read it out loud where Agamemnon, hopefully he will help me, says he doesn't get why he doesn't have divine favor in Iliad? Will tell you. One of the clearest moments where Agamemnon questions divine favor comes in book 2 of the Iliad, where he bitterly says Zeus is a harsh, cruel god. This line captures his confusion and frustration. He's the king of the Achaeans, leading the war effort, yet things aren't going his way. He doesn't understand why the gods, especially Zeus, seem to be against him despite his status and sacrifices. He's confused. Guys, confusion and frustration. Who is the author of confusion according to the Bible? The devil. Who is Zeus? The devil. If you want to ritualize this moment, no, I don't want to ritualize the moment. Give me more lines from this, please. So, let's see if you can give me more. Of course, Helga, there are several lines from the Iliad where Agamemnon wrestles with divine favor, fate, and his own authority. Each one rich with mythic tension and emotional fracture. So, lines of Agamemnon questioning divine favor and fate. Zeus is a harsh, cruel god. Book 2. Agamemnon laments the god's indifference despite his leadership. What if you are a great soldier? That's just a gift of God. Book 1. He downplays Achilles' power, implying divine favor is arbitrary. Yeah, exactly. I am much afraid that Hector will make good the threat. Book 14. Agamemnon fears Troy's strength and doubts Zeus' support. I rank her higher than Clytemnestra, my wedded wife. Book 1. His obsession with honor and possession leads to divine punishment, Apollo's plague. Even if he should swallow his wrath for the moment, he will nurse his grievance until he can take revenge. A reflection of King Sigmund, Book 1, and divine justice, foreshadowing his own downfall. So as you can see, there are many times in the Iliad that he says he's confused why not things are going into his way, because from the beginning of the book we are in the book 10 in the year 10 of the Iliad war, and we learn that Greeks are losing, that they wonder why they are fighting. Rabbid Mario, you found a new 3D model, check it out at the museum. Okay, he wonders why they are fighting Agamemnon and all the people, and they are plagued by the god Apollo. Like, you begin the story Iliad, book 1, and you learn that they wonder why they are plagued by Apollo with a plague. They don't know. They begin the story exactly the same as Saramago begins his own story, exactly the same, with a plague, with a disease. Can you see why I said it's the same exact spirit inspiring the story, why it is bad? Because he's the author of confusion. Who is the author of confusion? The devil. Do you wanna read a story that comes from the devil? I personally don't. That's why I didn't read the story, and that's why I hired my own ghostwriter. For Ze, I say this, because I didn't hire exactly a ghostwriter. I actually asked the help of the girl that could fetch me a physical copy of the book. She helped me write the article by telling me some scenes where I could comment without having to buy an entire crap book that I didn't want to read to begin with, and waste my money, which I could waste in another book that I would personally enjoy the most. That's what I mean. So let's go back to the story. I really want to end the video at some point, because the video is 4 minutes and I have only done 1 minute. Okay.
at a traffic light.
Okay.
Not darkness, a milky, blinding whiteness. A kind stranger offers to help him home, but later, that same man is also struck blind. And soon, so are others. The city is gripped by a mysterious epidemic of blindness, spreading rapidly and with no apparent cause. The government, desperate to contain it, responds not with compassion, but with fear. Those infected are rounded up and quarantined in an abandoned asylum.
Fear is something that comes from Zeus. So the fact that we speak about fear here shows that the story is from Zeus as well. Yes, I also made my own commander, Creon, having like the the element of fear. He's afraid everybody will understand that he killed his mother, for example. But what I'm doing in my story is not putting like I'm not like showing Creon as an afraid ruler. I'm showing him as a crazy ruler. His story is more funny than it is actually like about fear. It's not about seriousness. It's a circus story pretty much, where Creon is actually afraid of everybody around him, and he makes comic choices throughout. For example, if he understood that Stevenson is a thief, the story would have ended in the 18th page. Like, I'm speaking about 500 pages short. And that's why the story is funny, I think. It's circusy because it has like Creon being paranoid. It's not about fear, it's about being funny with that element. Like, what if they understood that I actually killed my mother? And he's actually paranoid, everybody will understand this. And that's why it's different. It's how you deal with it that exposes with what spirit you are working with and working with at the same time when you are writing a story, right?
Asylum. The government, desperate to contain it, responds not with compassion, but with fear. Those infected are rounded up and quarantined in an abandoned asylum, guarded by soldiers who are under orders to shoot if anyone tries to escape. Among the first inside are the...
Exact. Why should the blind person be shot? And if they try to escape, abandoned asylum, they are treated there. How did it say? Let's go again. All that is direct speech from Zeus. That's why I didn't want to have anything to do with the story.
Those infected are rounded up and quarantined in an abandoned asylum.
Quarantined. Listen carefully. Learn how to distinguish spiritual language from human language. They are quarantined, self-isolation, in an abandoned asylum. Did you hear that? I won. Okay. Can you hear the spiritual the spiritual language behind it? Quarantined. How were the people, the bound guys from the Republic found in the cave? Bound. They were bound. They were bound in their feet, their hands, and their neck in a cave. And they were forced to see shadows and they couldn't escape. Why is this the same story without? They were quarantined. Self-isolation in a house. This asylum is a cave. I'm not speaking here about the COVID pandemic. I'm not speaking about that. I'm speaking about the story. It's about an asylum, an abandoned asylum, a closed cave. Sorry, I have something with my throat. A closed cave, an abandoned asylum. Do you see? It's the same story. They are gone there, quarantined. For what? Being blind. You are quarantined because you are blind. If somebody wants to escape, the blind guy escape how? See how? To escape you need two basic functions as a person. You need legs and eyes. Eyes to see, legs to run or walk. How can you escape if you're a blind guy and you're quarantined in an asylum? They are shot if they try to escape. Do you understand now why the story is actually about the bound guys from the cave of the allegory of Plato? That's why I say it, it's the exact same story. So, let's continue.
Guarded by soldiers who are under orders to shoot if anyone tries to escape.
Okay.
Among the first inside are the original blind man, his wife, the Good Samaritan, a girl with dark glasses.
Again?
Guarded by soldiers who are under orders to shoot if anyone tries to escape.
Okay.
Among the first inside are the original blind man, his wife, the Good
I'm not
abandoned
getting one
asylum.
word.
Guarded by soldiers who are under orders to shoot if anyone tries to escape. Among the first inside are the original blind man, his wife, the Good...
Okay, inside the asylum, right. Let's ask Copilot just to be sure. Copilot, is the blindness the guy and his wife in the asylum? Yeah. Oh my god. Hugo, why are you laughing? Because it's so obvious it's from Zeus and it's crazy. It's direct speech. Yes, it's direct speech. What Zeus did with Saramago was go and whisper to his ear what exactly he has to write, and he did it. And he did it in the Greek manner. He used the punctuation we use in Greece. Because if you wanna be with Zeus, you have to speak Greek. You have to be a Greek. You don't have to be a barbarian. That's what I mean, right? Let's go back now.
Good Samaritan, a girl with dark glasses.
Okay.
A boy under orders to shoot if anyone tries to escape.
Okay.
Among the first inside are the original blind man, his wife, the Good Samaritan, a girl with dark glasses, a boy with a squint, an old man with an eye patch, and a doctor.
Okay, so we have a doctor, we have his wife, we have a woman who wears glasses, again the element with the eyes, a guy with an eye patch, again the element with the eyes. That's the element of the book. So we have this recurring element. We have some people. I could hear many people here. I could hear, this is HEAR, and then here HERE again. Many people are saying bullshit. This guy is a doctor because this symbolizes the archetype of the masculine, the divine, feminine, something. Guys, nothing. It's just characters. Nothing. It's just unnamed characters that you can actually replace their titles, doctor, woman, Samaritan, doctor, etc., with your names. That's what you can do there. So, no guys, no bestie, that's nothing else you can say here spiritually. It's just some characters that you can put yourself in the story and say, oh, I am the story, you know. So the original characters that were blind, they're inside the asylum. Okay, so we speak about the cave now, right? There are people who haven't opened the third eye of theirs. Okay.
But there's one anomaly, the doctor's wife, who can still see, but pretends to be blind in order to stay by her husband's side. Inside the asylum, things begin to decay quickly. With no outside support, no order, and no accountability, the group is left to fend for itself. Sanitation collapses.
I have to hear again. I wonder in my own thoughts sometimes, and I miss the story.
Orders to shoot if anyone tries to escape. Among the first inside are the original blind man, his wife, the Good Samaritan, a girl with dark glasses, a boy with a squint, an old man with an eye patch, and a doctor. But there's one anomaly, the doctor's wife, who can still see, but pretends to be blind in order to stay by her husband's side.
We will see how we will deal with that. At the moment, I can see the romantic, erotic trope that will definitely not go well for the wife, because I remember she went blind at the end, but I have to see how the story will go because I don't know the story very much, to be fair. Because like the fact that she fakes her blindness, she's not blind. So this, for Zeus theology, means that she is sinning. She should dump her husband. Because her husband is blind, he is plagued by Zeus, so she has to dump him. That's like very sinful for my father's eyes. Zeus commands in such cases to abandon your partner, and yeah, that's very sinful. You must never separate what God has united. That's why God hates divorce. And yeah, you can divorce your partner in specific cases, but like the reason my ex dumped me, nothing. That's prostitution for my father. It's abomination for my father. And read Malachi, my father is angry with you. Eyes of Sherbet Desert, you found a new soundtrack, check it out at the museum. Okay.
Inside the asylum.
So as I said, she has opened her third eye, and she refuses to be away from her husband. You get what I mean? Her husband is blind, she doesn't leave him to go and see the Agathon, the pure one, Zeus. She stays with him. She chooses her sexual passions. Do you remember anything from Robin yesterday, from the other video of the scholar? She chooses her carnal passions instead of God. That means, for Zeus theology, all I say is demonic. Nothing from what I say is biblical. That means that in the end, the woman will end up blind. Yes, I know the trope, that this is how the story ends. I know that the book, the novel itself ends like that. That's the only thing that I remember from the novel. But even if I didn't remember that, that's how the story would end anyways, because of the allegory of the cave. I will put the allegory of the cave at the end of this video so you can understand what I'm talking about. I will not comment anything on the allegory of the cave. I will just let you listen to what it says so you understand why I say, even if I didn't know the end of the story, I know already the woman will end up blind in the end of the story, because this is how the story goes for Zeus. She has to go blind because she sees she will end up blind in the end. And I will show you exactly, when I put at the end of the video the allegory of the cave, why this happens, why this is a trope that Zeus loves to explore in his stories, in this particular story about blindness.
Man with an eye patch and a doctor. But there's one anomaly, the doctor's wife, who can still see, but pretends to be blind in order to stay by her husband's side.
And yes, this is a misogynistic story because it says the woman, not the man. It's very direct here. The woman, it's not a guy that goes blind, it's a woman. No, my father would never say such story. I know that the element of misogynism is attributed to my dad, but no, that's not something he's doing. That's something he doesn't do. He's not a misogynist. We are all his children. He has been misrepresented very much by the church, by mystics, by people like Saramago, for example, who is using his speech to say his crap and all that jazz, right?
Inside the asylum, things begin to decay quickly.
Oh, yeah.
With no outside
decay, right? Do you remember my nightmare? I went to a haunted, abandoned, dirty mansion. This is Zeus through and through. There is nothing about Saramago there. There is only Zeus speech here. Everything is Zeus directly, and Saramago actually just sat there and wrote down everything he took from Zeus. He didn't comment anything on it, because I saw in my dream the haunted mansion and Zeus told me about the witch hour. It's exactly direct speech through and through. Yes, Saramago is a very good mystic, that's what I'm saying. No, I didn't know that before this video.
Support, no order, and no accountability.
Sorry. I will go back a little bit. So you got 5 power orbs. Use them to upgrade your hero skill tree at the Battle HQ. Okay.
Stay by her husband's side. Inside the asylum, things begin to decay quickly.
Okay.
With no outside support, no order, and no accountability, the group is left to fend for itself.
No order, no accountability. These two things are so important for Zeus. Order, he is the god of order. Chaos is outside of the universe. He is the god of mathematics. He is the god of order and what other? Accountability. Law. He loves his unwritten law. If it can't be done, he is pissed off like nobody else before him has ever been pissed. I don't know if you can understand what I'm talking about here, but yeah.
Sanitation collapses, food deliveries become infrequent and chaotic, and the strong begin to exploit the weak. When another ward begins hoarding food and using it as leverage for power, first demanding valuables, then degrading acts, violence and humiliation follow. The doctor's wife, still the only one with sight, becomes a kind of reluctant leader and moral anchor. Her vision isn't just degrading acts, violence and humiliation follow.
Okay.
The doctor's wife, still the only one with sight, becomes a kind of reluctant leader and moral anchor. Her vision isn't just physical, it's symbolic. She sees what's happening. She bears witness. Eventually, the group stages a revolt and burns down the ward that held them hostage.
Can you understand what it says there? She becomes the leader because she sees. She's gonna get punished for what she's doing because Zeus wants them to be punished and she's disobeying his direct orders. Instead of doing what he has instructed her to do, what is that? She's seeing what he wants her to do is live. Live as you are and don't look back. Like Lot with Sodom and Gomorrah. That's the story there. Can you see what it says, bestie? It says the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, corrupted version. It says that if you can see, stay away from them or plague is gonna come down to you. What did God say to Lot's wife? And Lot, don't look back. What did she experience because she looked? She died. You hear this story, corrupted form, because it's after the death of Jesus. And if you wonder, is this why I hear the story of the woman of Lot and I feel that Yahweh is a bad person? Yes, that's why you feel that my father is a bad person, because mystics use Zeus to interpret the stories of Yahweh. Why? Because Yahweh defeated Zeus on the cross, and Zeus can't sustain himself. He has to use my father's stories to say his bullshit, and he fails miserably. Yes, because he is using like a parasite other stories from other tradition. Yes, the Hebrew tradition, but at the same time he can't fend for himself. I don't know how to explain it better to you to understand it. That's why it happens though. That's what I say. And I don't know how else to describe it, but he's using like the stories that from the Bible. You then think that Yahweh is a bad person, but he's teaching you his theology at the same time. You get what I mean? It's very evil. It's very evil, yes. But you see the woman as a bad person here. She becomes the leader. She sees and she doesn't live. She's gonna get punished. The same is the woman of Lot. She had to live. She didn't. She died. That's how the trope goes, and you think when you hear the Sodom and Gomorrah story and you think she will die. No, she died because God said run, and she didn't. She didn't obey. Disobedience brings sin. That's why she died. It was a consequence. She wanted to look back. We don't know exactly what she did. Probably there is a high possibility she even went back to her house. We don't know exactly. We have this idea that she just turned and she turned into stone. My father is not a mythological person. He is not acting like we are trolls and we will become stone if sun falls upon us, or vampires and we will burn our skin or something. Maybe she turned back into her house. That's what the story says. When we speak as Mediterraneans, we leave some details outside because this is how we speak. We say, I turned back, and that can mean actually I went back into my house. You get what I mean? So maybe that's how it happened. But you hear then the story and you have heard what Saramago says and you think my father is a misogynist. Because Saramago is using a woman who sees, she doesn't obey, she has to live. She doesn't listen to Zeus. She's gonna get punished at the end of the day. That's what I say.
It isn't just physical, it's symbolic. She sees what's happening. She bears witness. Eventually, the group stages a revolt and burns down the ward that held them hostage. And then, without warning, the walls of quarantine are breached. The blind are free, but when they step outside, they discover that the blindness has consumed the entire city. Chaos reigns.
I don't understand.
Just physical, it's symbolic. She sees what's happening. She bears witness. Eventually, the group stages a revolt and burns down the ward that held them hostage.
Okay, so she used... I'm gonna hear it again and I will tell you.
Just physical, it's symbolic. She sees when another ward begins hoarding food and using it as leverage for power, first demanding valuables, then degrading acts, violence and humiliation follow. The doctor's wife, still the only one with sight, becomes a kind of reluctant leader and moral anchor. Her vision isn't just physical, it's symbolic. She sees what's happening. She bears witness. Eventually, the group stages a revolt and burns down the ward that held them hostage.
Okay, so she and the other guy saw the woman that sees everything, and the others... Can I ask Copilot about that? Copilot, did the wife and her group burn down the asylum? Yes. Yaga, why are you laughing? Because this is gonna bring... It's gonna bring bullshit in the story. They shouldn't burn it. The fact that they burned the cage means that they have unleashed the monster of Zeus. Now Zeus is gonna punish everybody for that. See in a minute what I'm saying.
Eventually, the group stages a revolt and burns down the ward that held them hostage.
Okay.
And then, without warning,
Yes.
the walls of quarantine are breached. The blind are free, but when they step outside, they discover that the blindness has consumed the entire city.
Because Zeus wanted you to be punished and you stopped his punishment. Of course you're gonna get punished for that. Of course. It's obvious you're gonna get punished for that. You are going against his wishes. He wants you to be punished. He's like Umbridge. Deep down, you deserve to be punished. Don't you know that, Mr. Potter? You get what I mean? How am I gonna escape this fucking maze here? Let's put it here and go back there.
Chaos reigns. There's no government, no infrastructure, no running water or electricity. Society has collapsed into an animalistic state, where the blind
animalistic state. Zeus hates it when the rational being he has created, man, behaves like an animal. Κοινωνικών ζώων, said Aristotle, is the man, and it says that also the ancient Greek vocabulary says that man is a rational being, en logon zoon, rational being. When you behave like an animal, that's allogon zoon, like irrational being. You can't piss off Zeus more by being an irrational being. You can't. That's the worst thing you can do, actually, if you behave like an animal. And yeah, I know, bestie. Anyways, let's go back. I am almost done with the video.
Chaos reigns. There's no government, no infrastructure, no running water or electricity. Society has collapsed into an animalistic state, where the blind claw for food, shelter, and safety. The small group stays together, led quietly by the doctor's wife. They seek out shelter, water, and some semblance of humanity in a city that now stinks of rot and desperation. The wife continues to see everything, the filth, the cruelty, but also moments of tenderness, of solidarity, of people helping each other despite it all. In the bleakness, she becomes a beacon of dignity, washing the bodies of the dead, sharing food, protecting the helpless. Eventually, the blindness begins to recede, just as suddenly and mysteriously as it began. Led quietly by the... Society has collapsed into an animalistic state.
I'm listening to it again because I'm actually confused a little bit.
Claw for food, shelter, and safety. No infrastructure, no running water or electricity. Society has collapsed into an animalistic state, where the blind claw for food, shelter, and safety. The small group stays together, led quietly by the doctor's wife. They seek out shelter, water, and some semblance of humanity in a city that now stinks of rot and desperation.
She shouldn't do that. She's gonna get fucked up at the end. Because that's a punishment by Zeus. Yes, you don't have any explanation because that's a punishment by Zeus. She shouldn't be helping them. She's gonna get hella fucked up at the end of the story. She's helping.
The wife continues to see everything, the filth, the cruelty, but also moments of tenderness, of solidarity, of people helping each other despite it all. In the bleakness, she becomes a beacon of dignity, washing the bodies of the dead, sharing food, protecting the helpless. Eventually, the blindness begins to recede, just as suddenly and mysteriously as it began.
Because you're not meant to know why they are blind. That's hubris. It's an insult. It's cursing. You insulted Zeus directly. That's the problem. Right.
One by one, people start to regain their sight.
Yeah.
The novel ends not with triumph, but with reflection.
Reflection, exactly. Not triumph. It's not about triumph at all. No. Effective icebreaker. Icicle golem. Okay.
The experience has left deep scars.
Yeah.
And nothing will ever be quite the same.
Yes.
The doctor...
It's everything about destruction and corruption. It's nothing about kindness. It's nothing about God's power of resurrecting people. That's why I didn't wanna write the essay. And if my price to pay was to hire a ghostwriter for my story, for my article, pretty much. Oh, Princess Peach. If I had to hire a girl, I didn't pay her, but if I had to do that, break some university laws, but I had to do that for my dad, yeah, I'm willing to pay this price. Yeah, I'm willing to break some university laws and have a ghostwriter in my article if that means to stand for what my father stands for. And my father doesn't stand for all this crap. My father is a holy, amazing deity. And this is an abomination. This story is an abomination. I have nothing else to say here. That story is deeply demonic and abominable for my dad.
As it began. One by one, people start to regain their sight. The novel ends not with triumph, but with reflection. The experience has left deep scars, and nothing will ever be quite the same. The doctor's wife, having carried the burden of seeing what no one else could, now weeps, not for herself, but for what she saw in others.
Yeah. For
what people became when stripped of laws, of order, of vision. Blindness is not an easy book, but it is necessary. It forces us to confront the fears, and nothing will ever be quite the same.
I want to hear again.
The doctor's wife, having carried the burden of seeing what no one else could, now weeps, not for herself, but for what she saw in others. For what people became when stripped of laws, of order, of vision. Blindness is not an easy book, but it is necessary. It forces us to confront the fragility of civilization and the thin veil that separates us from chaos. It asks us, when everything falls away, what's left of our humanity? In Saramago's world, the real blindness is not the loss of sight, it's the refusal to see, to recognize the suffering of others, to acknowledge the darkness within ourselves. Thank you for tuning in to Book Summary 5.
There is nothing like that in the story. Everything that it says about the story is wrong. Nothing like that. It didn't say the ending of it, which is that she is blind in the end. Okay, I will ask Copilot, tell me in a few sentences to read in my channel what the story of Saramago's Blindness, how the story ends. Okay, so Here's a short, powerful summary you can read aloud on your channel. After surviving the horrors of the quarantine, the doctor's wife leads her group through a ruined city where everyone is blind. She alone can still see, guiding them still through filth, hunger, and collapse. But then, without warning, the blindness begins to lift. Sight returns. No explanation, no cure, just sudden clarity, and with it the question, were they ever truly blind or lost in themselves? No, I didn't ask for that. I asked about her and not this. Okay. After guiding her group through the collapse of society, feeding them, protecting them, and witnessing unspeakable cruelty, the doctor's wife stands at the window and says, now it's my turn. She means she might go blind. It's ambiguous. She looks up and sees white, then looks down and sees the city again. The book ends without confirming whether she actually loses her sight. Yeah, now it is my turn. She is to go blind. That's how it ends. Give me the ending of the story, the two last sentences. Why do you think we went blind? I don't know. Perhaps one day we will find out. This is the story, how it ends. She ends blind. Did you hear how it said? It said, now it is my turn. She looks up and sees white. Didn't they see white? That's all it matters. So now for the rest of the video I'm gonna put you the allegory of the cave, so you can understand what I'm talking about. The allegory of the cave. Okay, that's the allegory of the cave. And you will understand why she goes blind in the end.
Big topics you might tackle figuratively. Window of opportunity. Life is like being chained up in a cave, forced to watch window of opportunity.
Listen.
Or an all too short-lived flicker of flame. 2,400 years ago, one of history's most famous thinkers said life is like being chained up in a cave, forced to watch shadows flitting across a stone wall.
He wasn't a thinker, he was a philosopher. He was talking with Zeus.
2,400 years ago, one of history's most famous thinkers said life is like being chained up in a cave, forced to watch shadows flitting across a stone wall. Pretty cheery, right? That's actually what Plato suggested in his Allegory of the Cave, found in Book 7 of the Republic, in which the Greek philosopher envisioned the ideal society by examining concepts like justice, truth, and beauty.
Justice.
In the allegory, a group of prisoners have been confined in a cavern since birth, with no knowledge of the outside world. They are chained facing a wall, unable to turn their heads, while a fire behind them gives off a faint light. Occasionally, people pass by the fire carrying figures of animals and other objects that cast shadows on the wall. The prisoners name and classify these illusions, believing they're perceiving actual entities. Suddenly, one prisoner is freed and brought outside for the first time. The sunlight hurts his eyes, and he finds the new environment disorienting. When told that the things around him are real, while the shadows were mere reflections, he cannot believe it. The shadows appeared much clearer to him, but gradually his eyes adjust until he can look at reflections in the water, at objects directly, and finally at the sun, whose light is the ultimate source of everything he has seen. The prisoner returns to the cave to share his discovery, but he is no longer used to the darkness and has a hard time seeing the shadows on the wall.
Yeah, that's the wife.
The other prisoners think the journey has made him stupid and blind, and violently resist any attempts to free them. Plato introduces this passage as an analogy of what it's like to be a philosopher trying to educate the public.
His eyes are not adjusting the darkness. That's the blindness of the wife. She's not blind, she goes blind later. I think he will say it. Let's see.
Most people are not just comfortable in their ignorance, but hostile to anyone who points it out.
Fuck the analysis. The analysis is off the topic. Just listen to the story and see in your head how similar and how the same it is with the story we just read, the Saramago story, only that the analysis is out of the window. Nothing is compatible with what the story says of the allegory. Just use it as a parallel text with the blindness.
In fact, the real-life Socrates was
Fuck Socrates, we don't care about that.
but
No,
the
no.
allegory has captured imagination,
Yeah.
developed in Plato's roundness, and the nature of the theory illustrates than the shadows. As we go about our lives, the problem of grouping concrete things under abstract terms. And others still wonder whether we can really know that the things outside the cave are any more real than the shadows.
Yep.
As we go about our lives, can we be confident in what we think we know? Perhaps one day a glimmer of light may punch a hole in your most basic assumptions. Will you break free to struggle towards the light, even if it costs you your friends?
That's the analysis. It's completely fucked up. I will ask Copilot. I am very tired and I don't think I will continue the game. I will just ask Copilot to tell me how does the allegory of the cave end. Tell me the ending or give me a link to read it myself, please. Okay. Not this, but the warning not to go there again. Copilot gives me all the pagan ideas in the world these days. I don't understand what's wrong with it. Okay, the final warning, yes, it's about no returning. Yeah, Helga, the final warning in Plato's allegory of the cave isn't just about blindness or ignorance. Blindness. It's about not returning to the cave once you've seen the truth. Plato, through Socrates, suggests that the philosopher who escapes the cave and sees the light of truth should not descend again into the shadows, because the others will reject him, mock him, and even kill him. The warning is clear. Better to suffer injustice than to return to ignorance. That's what it says, actually. It's not about being killed and bullshit. It's about if you return there, you will become like them again. The cave is not a place, it's a condition. No, I don't care about this. Give me when he says they are. If I asked something Copilot about my dad, he will be quick to say that my dad is a misogynist. But about Plato, we are putting Plato and Zeus in the washing machine. It's crazy. When he says that he shouldn't interfere again in the matters of these people because he will go blind again. That's what I want to read, and you are not giving it to me. You are putting Plato in the washing machine, Copilot. Yeah, I want to see that. Thank you. Anyone who has common sense will remember that the bewilderness of the eyes are of the two kinds and arise from the two causes, either from coming out of the light or from going into the light. It says that the philosopher who returns to the cave, who tries to help those still chained, will be misunderstood. Fuck, I don't want that. Give me the link, please. Give me the link to the story. I don't want to hear your bullshit. You are putting Plato in the washing machine. I don't want to hear your bullshit. You are putting Plato in the fucking washing machine. Okay, so it says, but one who has his wits about him would remember that there are two things that pain the eyes: being brought from darkness to light and transitioning back from light to darkness. Now, considering that the soul experiences the same discomfort, this man would not make light of another when he met with a confused soul. He would take the time to understand if the soul was coming from a luminous realm and his eyes were blinded by darkness, or whether journeying from the darkness of ignorance into an illuminated state had overwhelmed his eyes. One he would consider fortunate, he would pity the other, and if he laughed at either, it would be less justified if he laughed at the expense of the one who was descending from the light above. That's a fitting way to put it, says Glavkon. Socrates: of course, if I am correct, then some of our educators are mistaken in their view that it is possible to implant knowledge into a person that wasn't there originally, like vision to the eyes of a blind man. As the eye would not turn from darkness to light unless the whole body moved, so it is the mind can only turn around from the world of becoming to that of being by a movement of the whole soul. The soul must learn by degrees to endure the contemplation of being and the luminous realms. So what he says there is that you never, that's the translation, you can go and read it yourself. It's Plato's cave, the allegory of the cave. It's 518 probably approximately lines in the Republic. It's about becoming blind. If you go back to these people, it says mocked. It's watering it down because Greeks are known for putting burqa when they are trying to say something from Zeus. They are covering it up. The Chinese mystics don't do that, for example. They are just saying it, the master, the servant, the student. They don't hide anything. The Greeks hide it and they say you will be mocked. No, it doesn't say exactly that. It says if you go again, didn't it say the eyes? If you go from light to darkness, your eyes will get adjusted in darkness again. He says you'll be blind too. That's why the wife became blind in the end. So my father wanted me to finish the gameplay with a song by him. It's a song by Rapunzel, and he said he wants to everybody to hear this song. It's this one here by Rapunzel.
How'd you find something special?
He says it's a song that comes straight from his heart, and it's a song that he always sang to me when I was a kid, and I can never hear it without crying because I remember my father with that. And I don't know, that's the best way to finish all this demonic crap that I spoke for about 2 hours. It's the best way to finish the video. So I'm not gonna speak again. When the song ends, I'm gonna finish the recording. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
Constant as the stars above, always know that you are loved, and my love shining in you will help you make your dreams come true, will help your dreams come true.